Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dudes Talking Manga, where today we'll be talking about the 22nd volume of Berserk. This is our first episode actually breaking it down into just single volumes instead of doing the deluxe editions, which we're really excited about that change. And I'm accompanied by my ever loyal struggler, Andrew. Andrew, how you doing today?
Struggling on, man. Feeling good.
All day, all the time, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, we appreciate you guys joining us here live. We're always really excited to do these. And I just got back from a trip and I was reading it, finishing it up in the car. And there was a lot. There was a lot to track. And I'm really glad that this was the one we decided to go editions on.
That's what I said this morning when I was talking to Miranda. I was going back through my notes and everything. I'm like, man, I'm so glad that we did it this way. Especially with the holidays. I mean, you have an even busier schedule than I do too. And it's just a lot.
Yeah, it certainly is. And there's a lot of really good stuff here. Like, I'm wondering when this is supposed to, like, you always come up a hill with quality and then sometimes it goes back down. When is it ever going to come down for Berserk? Because it just keeps getting better.
It's almost like we're on top of the mountain and we just keep taking shifts, I mean, we're up there and it keeps getting better, but it's in different ways. We take different turns and I'm loving it.
Yeah, and it feels like Miura is constantly flexing different, like, strengths that he has.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm loving it because we've talked about pacing so much too, but I mean, I hate to keep saying it, but it's always different pacing. It's always different, really. It's great.
It really is. And Christian, I appreciate you hopping in, and thanks for the input on the thumbnail, brother. Colton's here and he says this volume was phenomenal, being my favorite volume since the Golden Age. And I think I keep saying that, but right? I do believe that this might be my favorite single volume since Eclipse. Because when we read all the deluxe editions, it's kind of hard to think about each volume separately because they're all just combined in there. But for this, I'm just so impressed with how much was packed in.
And what I like too is you'll get so much, but it is not overwhelming. For me, I love that. Hi, Leah.
Hello, Leah. Good to see you. But yeah, let me tell you what, I feel like with this, I was surprised to look back at how much happened, but there's a lot of questions when you stop after just one volume. We're used to getting all the answers.
I know. It's
actually a little better, right? Like,
I like it a lot. Now I'm not gonna ruin anything, but I'm just gonna say this now. I accidentally, like, when I opened it, I saw a panel that I didn't care for at all. So I think I really just I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that.
All right.
We'll see. We'll get back to it. I made a note so we can discuss it later, but like obviously when we're in that volume, but I was like, oh man, come on. That's it.
I definitely have done that where I'm like, how many pages are left in this volume? And I flip ahead and I'm like, you can't do that in manga.
You can't do that. And you can't, there's no page numbers in these volumes. I don't know about the other ones, but there's like 3 page numbers in the whole book.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like the earlier volumes had more page numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, this is a good one. This is a very good one, and I really enjoyed anyone that has the deluxe editions. The fold outs at the beginning of this.
Yes,
how good are those?
They're so awesome. What'd you do with yours? That's what I was going to ask you. Are you still in there? Did you leave them in?
Yeah, can you pull them out?
I don't know. It looked like they were like threaded in there. I thought maybe they were like to pull. I didn't try to. That's why I wanted to see if like anybody.
I'd like to pull because I actually thought the same thing. I said
to frame them or maybe. I
mean, I'd hang them on the walls for sure, dude. Especially the one of Griffith and Guts.
So awesome.
And the artwork in this volume, we always say it's always getting better and better and better. But I thought the fight scenes, the one we'll talk about between Zodd and Guts, was one of my favorite illustrated fight scenes. Not my favorite fight scene, but definitely my favorite illustrated fight scene.
I would 100% agree with that. The clarity of it and just like how it's set up.
Yeah, and it's wild because we just finished out the Conviction arc, and now we're starting the Millennium Falcon arc, which is a sweet name. Like,
it sure is.
It's just such a sick name. And for any of those that are checking this out for the very first time, me and Andrew basically are making our way through manga as we're big fans of books and all types of storytelling mediums. We're new to manga, we're new to Berserk, so we are first-time readers. So if we get anything wrong, that's why. And we have the lovely live chat here to help us out whenever we inevitably mispronounce something. So
every time.
It seems like leaving the posters in the deluxe edition is the popular way to go.
Okay. So I turned the comments off because I can't do two things at once. So I leave it up to you to tell me anything that is
not a problem. Not a problem. All right, so we begin the Falcon of the Millennium Empire arc, which is, I think, the actual full name, and we get a really endearing scene that I was happy to see, and that was to see Guts and Casca ride back to Rickert and Erica, which I had forgot her name and had to look it up.
I did too.
But of course, we come upon a very sad scene as well, because Godot has passed.
Yeah,
which I think we kind of knew that was coming, but you didn't expect him to still be alive, right?
No, not at all. But it was still kind of a gut punch that he wasn't. You know, you expect it, but just seeing his tombstone with the tools on there, you're like, ah, man.
Yeah, well, I don't think Guts would have been able to make some of the good decisions that did break the pattern of the festival without Godot.
For sure. Yeah, he's a pivotal in Guts' transformation.
Yeah, I feel like on a reread, it would be really beneficial to pay attention.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, I think the first two, you're just like, it's kind of a rambling of this old dude just talking to some blacksmith that's up in the woods or I guess the mountains.
Yeah, his little mine, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, then you come to love him, and he really teaches Guts a lot. Just hits him with some knowledge on his. Well, I guess it was his deathbed, because they even mentioned too, like, oh, were we gone that long? And they said pretty much right after you left.
Yeah.
So, like for me, that too almost made not more powerful, but more meaningful. His gift to him, his sword, his armor, all that stuff right at the end, because, hey, I'm done with this. This is. I mean, obviously that wasn't said, but that's how I read into it.
Yeah, well, and Godot was telling the truth the whole time, and he even said, I don't have much longer, and he again wasn't lying. James, thanks for the 5 spot, man, for the super sticker. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you were able to check it out. And we have my man Fever. It says 2 exceptional Chads talk about exceptional manga. Good to see you, Fever. Fever's one of my patrons and a good friend of mine. Good to see you, Fever.
Nice. Glad to be on there, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we say goodbye to Godot. We say, we reintroduce ourselves to Erica and Rickert, but there's someone there. This character, he's kind of like a hawk of light or a falcon, if you will. Yeah. Oh, Griffith. That's right.
Yeah. You almost forget about him because he's just like just a side character.
Yeah. He didn't have much to do,
No, right?
Cracks in the Blade was in this volume. Yes, I believe we will talk. I believe that is something that we're going to get to whenever we talk about the Zodd fight. If that is,
that's what I'm tracking. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, unless if we're talking about Godot's, we might be talking about Godot's speech to Guts back in the day. Whenever he talked about the fractures in the blade, we were just kind of paying homage to Godot and talking about how important he was with those dialogue sections with Guts, as we see his gravestone in the opening of this. So RIP, I would say Godot's up there with our boy Judo, who
for sure,
who we still hold out hope will come back somehow.
He coming back, boys. Pour one out. Actually throw a knife for him.
Yeah, throw a knife for our boy Judo. Oh man. Yeah, Godot's speed. Yeah. Cool. It's right after Lost Children. It's the cracks in the blade. That's right. That is correct.
Yeah.
Arguably the best chapter in the manga. I would not hesitate. I would agree with that. Honestly,
for me, that part, I mean, I know we're going back to that, but when when he's talking about that blade and he's forging it, just that epic scene of lowering that blade, man, that for me just sticks with me. That image, I don't know why. I'll think about that. Like when you're having a hard time, you're like, that's cracked. I don't know. It's just that for me really stuck.
Well, and a lot of the things that we have seen Guts talk about with other characters, especially Griffith, have been so ambiguous and nebulous in what they really mean for him and what decisions would he make based off of those things. Whenever Griffith's talking about how he can never respect someone that only follows his dream, but they had to have a dream of his own, blah, 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 blah. Godot is the first one, I think, that is very on the nose with the metaphorical nature of his speaking whenever he's forging the blade. Yeah, and that's what makes Godot stand out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good point. I never put that together, but that's right on.
And especially at that point in Guts' life, he's not really taking a lot of consideration of what people are telling him. So for Godot,
not a lot of self-help books out there for
yeah, get right with Godot.
Scroll,
Yeah. Yeah, so Griffith is there at Godot's mine, and I'm just like, is this really about to happen? Like right at the beginning of the volume?
Dude,
This seems
right?
insane.
Just slapped you right in the mouth.
And how powerful is it that whole scene of him talking with Guts and then the battle with Zodd, all that happens on the Hill of Swords, where
Right.
all of the fallen band of the Hawk are there.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's so appropriate, but it still felt organic. You know what I mean? Like it's so dramatic, but it still felt pretty organic, I thought.
Yeah, very meaningful. It's such a sacred place for that to happen too. I mean, it almost desecrates the ground that he's there, you know.
Well, we know the history between the two characters, and then you literally have the cost of the history sticking out of the ground with all those swords. And
right there. That's representation. Can't get any more in your face. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And how did you feel about Griffith saying the reason why he like Basic Guts is like, why are you here? And he's like, I needed to see if I still felt something, and I don't.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was
a monster.
Right. I mean, I was just churning my stomach too to see him standing there too. And Rickert is, he has no idea because last he saw, he was the leader. They were, they were all going to go save him. And that's really the last that he knows about what happened between them.
Yeah, and the restriction of information can be a really powerful tool in storytelling, and I think Miura does it really, really well right here because Rickert, for all intents and purposes, is a bit of a side character, kind of a sidekick, even to Godot. Like I think he was kind of in Godot's shadow for the most part, and all the other band of the Hawk, and he's like a left. It's like okay, that's kind of cool, but here the restriction information now. How does the perspective from Rickert? How does he respond to this?
Right,
which is a question that eventually Griffith kind of brings up. He says, if you hate me, that's fine by me. But if you would like to join me, the door is always open. Yeah. And then we see Guts leave Rickert behind with Erica because he says, you could never hate Griffith. You can't take vengeance. You can't walk my path. I mean, that's a really interesting development for Rickert. And I wonder if we'll see him down the line. And even if we don't, like how much that would have impact him. And then there's like the parallel between Guts with Casca and what Godot told him to never give up walk away from something you can't afford to lose. And then you have Erica there with Rickert. Like there's a parallel there.
It's a lot. Yeah.
There's so much.
A lot converging, you really can appreciate it.
Yeah. And the art for the Hill of Swords looked so good. All of these panels with Griffith and Guts, probably because of the weight that these two characters have in the story, being on the same panel is always just like mesmerizing.
Yeah, it really is just a powerful imagery every single time. And I mean, then you get Casca in the mix too. I mean, but it didn't feel super rushed and it didn't feel aggressive, which was cool.
No, it takes up a lot of time actually in this volume. There's really three things that happen in this volume, and this happens to be one of them. And Griffith, I agree with Alex from chat. He said Griffith saying that I am truly free is, in my opinion, his most evil action, and I think that is correct. At least that's how I felt. I actually typed in my notes. I just put "what a monster."
Right.
Oh,
you can't help but not like the dude.
Yeah. I wished for it. I don't feel anything is one of the quotes. Yeah. My heart is frozen. It's just some really subtle panels with just maybe one line from Griffith that are just chilling. Really, really chilling.
Yeah, they really are. Just tailored so perfectly just to make you know exactly what he is and appreciate just how evil they have, Miura built him up to be. And now he's back too. He's not even in the other world. He's back. It's almost like there's zero consequences for anything that he's done. And he's still like, all right, I'm still got my dream. I know I kind of screwed it up for you guys, but so yeah.
Like, did you think I would stop? Because I will not, Yeah. And Guts even says that whenever he saw Griffith again back at the tower, he said, my urge to kill was lost.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I thought for me, I was like, oh no, is something like that. I thought something really, really, really bad was going to happen then. Because if Guts is saying you don't want to kill somebody, we got the scales are out of whack.
They really are. And then like the chaos just ensues because Zodd ends up jumping in. I love Zodd, dude. I love Zodd so much. And it bums me out that he's like Griffith's horse boy.
I know. Because like he was just so wild animal. That scene of him on a mountain of bodies that he made. Just like, yeah, man, I had a dime for every time I had killed 10,000 people, and like now he's essentially his horse. Like,
Yeah.
I do still love it. Dude, do you feel like anytime he comes in, there's just like a power chord, like just a power chord anytime he he fights?
I actually felt that way with Wild, who shows up a little bit later. At least
Oh,
I thought it was. I assume it was Wild because it looked just like him, and
Mhm.
like I said Wild shows up, cue guitar riff, like wow, this is
Yeah.
kind of
He has like the cheetah pants.
yeah,
Like,
for real.
just literally.
People are just memeing all over the place for. Oh man. During Guts and Zodd's fight, it had me pissed. I was like, you get away from her. I'm glad he saved her, but at the same time, how dare he touch her? Yeah, it's a little bit of a complicated thing here, isn't it? Zodd is pure Unga Bunga energy. You're damn right. Zodd has little development, but he's so badass. It makes him one of the best characters, and his design is great from a struggler. I would also agree with that. And I really enjoyed the battle between Zodd and Guts a lot. And I love the line that he said. He said, "Words lack elegance. Force your way past."
God, I loved that, man.
Yeah, it's pretty
just
badass.
So on point for him.
And he had a Kushan blade. Was that a Kushan blade I saw?
I thought so. Yeah, I did. I mean, it was massive.
Yeah,
and I thought he stole it before, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think he has a Kushan blade, but did you see the eye on the end of the blade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. I think it's just a style thing, but I saw that and it was very at least my eyes focused in on it on the panel, and I was like, oh, I wonder like if there's more of a backstory to why the Kushan blades have eyes on them.
Dude, that's fun that you said that, because I just I always like to just leaf through it real quick before we chat, just make sure if I miss anything or something like that. And I saw that I don't know, 30 minutes ago, and I didn't catch it the first time through, but I did.
Really?
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that, but.
Yeah, and I think that him breaking the sword apart, like where you can see it was starting to fracture.
He just bit it in part.
Yeah,
I think, right? Is that how you took it?
Well, yeah, he ends up biting through it. Yeah, but it's like kind of fractured. And they just have some of the coolest fight scenes, I think.
Really was.
Snowy, thank you so much
awesome.
for the 50 spot. It's very, very generous of you. I appreciate that.
Cool.
He says no consequences for what he's done on top of getting what he wanted while also putting Guts through hell. World's not fair. Yeah, it kind of reminds you of when the rich billionaire scumbags of the world get, that they're embezzling, that they're dodging taxes, and they still get what they want. They still get the yachts. And then on top of that, they'll pay you $8 an hour to fulfill their dream. And you're like, you know what? I kind of hate you. I kind of hate you.
Yeah, it's just certainly not very cash money on so many levels.
And Snowy, again, thank you so much. That was very generous of you. Nice. And we appreciate you always showing up and having a good time here. So and then Zodd uses one of the swords from the Hill of Swords, and I'm like, all right, that's heresy. Like you're not allowed to, I don't think not many things are off limits in life.
But don't you dare desecrate.
Well, let me tell you something. All right. You don't take one of those swords. What if that was Judo's sword?
Bro, come on. Why you gotta do me like that, man? With that fight scene though, too, I loved, and I think that Miura's doing even a better job of having Guts, because he did it before, when he's fighting, oh man, I gotta do this, I gotta pivot more. If I do this, I'm gonna get my head crushed in. But I liked the style of how he did it this way. You get the big panel of the fight, and then in the corner you had the little thought of him. I just felt like continuity, how it flowed. I loved it. Is that what you were talking about too, about how the layout was? Or were you just meaning how it's drawn a little less busy?
Yeah, see, I'm not, and I won't say that it's better, but for me, being a newbie, way easier to follow.
Well, I guess, that's fair. Yeah, I guess better is not a.
Well, you didn't even say better.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying, because some people hear that and say, "Well, no, the actual last one was technically probably." But yes, I thought this Zodd fight, the way it was illustrated from panel to panel, was so much easier to follow.
Yeah.
Not just internal thoughts and actions, but also with the pace of the battle. And it was definitely it was a power up battle. I think it was Matt Sims in the chat was saying how you could see Guts is now leveled up. Because remember the last time he fought Zodd? I mean, he got his ass whooped.
I mean, he got nothing done.
And so did Griffith. Remember?
Because Griffith at their at what we thought was their peak got waxed by him. I don't even think he had a
Yes.
blade. He was just beating him up with his hands at first.
Yeah. So this is this is Super Saiyan 2 Gohan moment where you're like, oh my God, like he's powered up so much. And those are important. Those are important for these type of stories. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I love that everyone was remarked and was impressed by Guts' ability to brave death.
Yes.
I think everyone kind of did a double take. Zodd, Puck, everyone looking on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the moment, and someone mentioned in chat a little bit earlier, and I wanted to wait to get to it, but Griffith feels just a little flutter or a pump of blood. And he thinks about the baby that is obviously made up of him, Casca, and Guts. And he says that it fused with his vessel. And that must be why he's feeling that flutter. So it makes you wonder, even though it is probably the baby, right, that is giving him the flutter, which I consider to be maybe a little bit of a reprieve from the evil that he feels, that he says he feels nothing. That baby still has a piece of Griffith, right? Like, it's this messed up situation, we know, but it is partially Griffith. So is there hope for our boy?
I think, okay, so I have a couple crazy ideas about this.
All right, let's hear it.
So I'm thinking the one is so he says vessel, and him saying vessel makes me think that Griffith as the God Hand, like the Black Hawk or whatever you want to call it, like, is that still exist somewhere? Is it just like set up, just waiting, just an empty vessel in the other world? And can maybe Guts go kill him? I don't know. That part of it's a little bit out of whack. But I'm thinking too, is there going to be a more of a birthing cycle too with that baby out of Griffith somehow? Is he actually part of it, or is it just fused in him? I mean, that for me really got the old wheels turning.
Yeah, that panel stuck out to me and made me feel like, someone said, remember chat, no spoilers. Definitely don't let us know if we're
Yeah. Sorry.
Actually, I'll be honest, our viewers have been so good about it.
Yeah, really have. It's great.
We absolutely love the Berserk community because no one, tries to flex their knowledge on us or anything. Everyone's very helpful and spoiler protected. But that panel, in my notes, I wrote it down. I said come back to this, because now that we're reading volume by volume, it's probably going to take us a bit to get to those answers.
Yeah.
But I knew something was up with that.
Yeah.
Like, there's some sort of more birthing process. Like you said, I don't know how I feel about it a certain way, but it did make me think, from the fluttering in his chest piece, made me wonder if maybe the overarching story of Berserk is redemption. And I know that, Miura has unfortunately passed away. I don't know if they'll ever continue or whatever, but it does make you feel like, is Miura going for the impossible? Is he going to try to redeem Griffith?
Oh, dude, I literally just got chills.
Yeah, dude.
Man. Wow.
Like,
that's
forgiveness is definitely going to be explored. There's no way.
No doubt.
At least what
that's crazy. That literally, I still got chills. That's nuts.
Yeah. So someone was commenting on how some Berserk community members do spoil things.
Really? I'm surprised.
I attract the best fans, clearly, right?
I mean, the comments show, bro. The comments don't lie.
That's right. So Griffith eventually calls off that fight between Zodd and Guts, which is a little bit of an interesting moment, I think. But the big moment there is not so much the fight getting called off, but him claiming that he will still get his own kingdom. Casca coming out of the mine because Zodd crashes through it, and she sees Griffith and she's mesmerized. And I just knew, it's going to happen, because it's always been hinted to that she still has something for. And I'm just like, please don't.
Right?
Please don't. And then,
come on,
like Colton said, she gets saved by Griffith, but from the rocks, and you're just like, and they're like embraced for a second,
dude. Like, we always talk about our favorite panel. Their favorite part has my least favorite and most hated part. just seeing that embrace, I was like,
yeah, that's an easy win for volume 22. Least favorite panel.
Yeah, hands down. Top. Like, come
on. Also, Griffith, then that's whenever he says, hey, Rickert, if you know the story now and you hate me, fine by me. But if you want to join me and chase the dream, come back. And I feel like this is a pretty obvious sign that Griffith is starting to gather people, and I believe that we're going to see a new Band of the Hawk. That's my prediction, and I think even by the end of this volume, we kind of see people coming into his service and swearing fealty. So I feel maybe it'll be called something else. Maybe it'll be the well, since the arc's called Falcon, right? So maybe because the people started referring to him as the Falcon, I think, which is from the Oracle. Remember, the Oracle was giving out visions to people of a Falcon. So I do think that.
I'm just hoping, man. Come on, don't. If they do come up with a new band, like Rickard, please don't make their weapons. Come on, bro. And I already think. I mean, I feel like he's gonna, but just don't. Don't make him.
Listen, Rickard will be dead to me. He'll be the anti-Judo.
I mean, he's got all the knowledge. I think they're setting it up. I have a feeling. I hope not, but.
So, Moomin comment says, "I don't think it means what you think it means." The Griffith hug from Casca.
Okay,
interesting.
Wow. I mean, that was almost the turning point of when he called the battle off, though. When she came out. There's some complexity to this relationship, as all of Berserk is, but
and James says in the chat, he says, "I never took it as her being attracted to Griffith as much as she was attracted to her baby that was fused into him at rebirth. Like she could sense her baby when he was around." Well, and the brand, bleeding, right?
Yeah. Well, as soon as Guts came up to Griffith, it looked like it was gushing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just attributed that to Griffith, but now,
I mean, Griffith's a good-looking cat.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll kill you, but you know,
at least you got some good to look at when you're going out, I guess. I don't know.
So we had another powerful panel though at the end of all this big Griffith Guts scene, right? And it's the nothing has changed, which over and over he says, "I will have my kingdom," and Guts is furious, and rightfully so, and he refuses to accept that and tells Griffith that everything changed the moment he decided to do what he did. And Griffith responds with, "You should have known. This is the man I am. You of all people."
Man. Yeah.
That's rough, right?
That's real rough. I mean, yeah, I didn't like that. But on par, you know. But
pretty powerful panel. I really like those panels. It's like almost like a whole page worth of just breakaways of those dialogue tags, and I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, showing like Griffith, hey, nothing's changed, even though, hey, I went to this other form, came back, all this shit happened, and then Guts is like, yeah, I mean, I've changed. Like, I mean,
and to come back and to say he feels nothing, that nothing has changed, and all that sacrifice is just a part of the process, I think is like just one of the most reprehensible things. I think it was Colton in chat said he believes that Griffith is beyond redemption, and I would agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I saw that. I meant to comment on that a second ago. Yeah, I would say 100%. He's just a deplorable human. Well, whatever he is.
Yeah, at this point, right? He's a human right now. At the very least,
human vessel with a demon baby in his chest or somewhere. So,
and Fever says the fact that Griffith is hot means his actions are not that bad. Yeah, and Trill Nathan brings up a really good parallel. He says, "You of all people, remember that Griffith made Guts carry out those assassinations." And he asks Guts, "Am I cruel? I connect these two scenes on my master manipulator."
Yeah, really good point.
So then Erica and Rickard end up staying behind this kind when Guts says, "Hey, you know, you need to take care of her. Remember Godot's words." It's a nice little scene. But Guts and Casca set off to go to Puck's home because they need a new home because Zodd blew through the mine. His beast ass blew through it.
Come on, that's uncalled for.
It was, wasn't it? And Guts reflects on his decision early and vows never to abandon Casca again. It says, "I will not lose you," which was a nice panel. But you can see, I think there's even a panel of Guts thinking about Casca and Griffith and how he looked at her. And, you know, it's complicated. It's not getting any easier, folks.
Well, how could that not just rock your world, being Guts?
Yeah, right?
So much.
I mean, it rocks my, like every time Casca's on the page, I'm just like, can you just like not walk away from Guts constantly?
Sheer panic. She comes out. I was on edge, bro. I was like, come on, like hurry.
Well, it's a pretty amazing thing, and then we'll move on after this. But the amazing thing about that feeling is that a lot of times when that happens in a book or a movie or TV show, I will say, hopefully that character gets whacked off. They just whacked off. Well, I didn't think that one through. Hopefully that character gets killed off.
Sorry, trying to keep it together.
Hopefully that character gets killed off, or hopefully this character gets over them, or I'll like start losing hope in the character that can't let that character go.
Yeah, no, I would have definitely. I'm in disagreement with that.
But Guts' attachment to Casca it feels real, like I don't want them to break up. I still feel for Casca, even though she's kind of she's kind of a bot at this point. Like she feels so empty. But I think that it speaks a lot to the relationship that Miura was able to build over all of these volumes. It makes us feel that tension, just her looking a certain way. That's pretty masterful storytelling.
For sure. And I mean, I said it before, I think it was the last volume, maybe it was before, how her eyes started looking a little bit less, glazed over. And that for me is gone. Like she's right back in it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like whenever she's at the center of like the Tower of Conviction or Griffith, she kind of clears up for a second.
I think I might lead losing connection.
Oh, rip. Well, I can move on as Andrew checks on his connection, but we end up cutting to the Kushans taking over another fortress in Midland, which I love this. Anytime there's an empire trying to invade another empire or whatever it might be, I always find that stuff to be really, really interesting. And their conquest seems to be actually going quite well. So the Kushans are obviously a pretty formidable opponent. And we have Andrew back with us.
That you started spinning, you were a wheel, and I was like, "Yeah, are you losing it?" Sorry,
it's all good. I was talking about the Kushans and how they're invading Midland and taking over some things. Okay. And we see the Talassa, I think is how you pronounce them, and they kind of look like the Pokemon Machamp. Don't they?
They really do.
They even have like a little mark on their head, like the Majin Buu thing. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny.
And honestly, yeah, that's pretty on point.
And then we have it's not Salat. I think it's Salat. Is his name? I always forget his name. It's Silat.
The Kushan leader.
Yeah, the Kushan lead assassin fighter dude.
Yeah.
So we end up seeing him, and they are searching for the Falcon. And by the gods, does the Falcon show up? It's Griffith.
Ooh, it sure did. And shit just starts popping off real fast.
Yeah, and Griffith ends up just walking up on his horse and kind of boop, putting his sword.
Was that the leader? That was the guy. I thought so. He's just like, "Hey, man."
Yes, and then a whole volley of arrows miss him, and then there's like a little bit of a moment of doubt because someone says, "Wait." So did they all pull up their arrows short, or did Griffith have an aura about him? Was it a coincidence? Like there's that kind of moment where we're not sure whether Griffith was able to like repel the arrows. I think it was from the weight command, and I think everybody pulled their arrows a little bit, and they all landed short. And right before we can see another volley come through, people are all shocked, but Wild shows up, and this is where we do the guitar riff.
Wow.
Wild. Yeah, so Wild shows up.
Oh, sorry. I missed it. Wild thing. No, that's the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I'm still collecting myself from that.
Oh, man. Yeah, so Wild ends up showing up, which is wild.
It was pretty wild.
And then a new player also emerges and swears fealty, and it's Locus the Moonlight Knight, which sounds like a disco era disc jockey. Like everyone's rollerblading on the disco ball. Moonlight Knight. I don't know.
I liked his armor though. I thought it was cool.
Oh no, he looks sick. Right? He even had like the two almost like antenna looking things. It kind of reminded me of the stag helmets from the House of Baratheon whenever they were a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's really sick. Yeah, he almost looks like a praying mantis looking dude. Yeah, drawn very cool.
Yeah, and then there's another guy that jumps in, but I don't think we learned his name. They said it was like a monster naga. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I was a little confused. I didn't know if they were referring to like that word or whatever they said is his name, or he's a giant, or what. Can happen pretty quick.
Yeah, so he's there.
That Roxas or something like that. All right, like
No.
Or are
'Cause
you talking about somebody else?
yeah, that's actually a outcast from the Kushan clan.
Oh yeah, that's the wrong name.
And
Then. Okay.
Salat comes from. But yeah, I thought that was actually pretty interesting. All these people are showing up, and they all seem to have talked to an oracle, and they've all been
Mhm.
pointed to this way to the Falcon, right? And this is kind of where I'm thinking like the new Band of the Hawk is coming, kind of what we said, and we hope that
I mean, he's definitely getting the Suicide Squad put together for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with these, but I thought all the character designs and stuff were really neat. But we need to see more of them before I make a bunch of
Yeah.
large sweeping.
No, that was that Roxas. That dude. I mean, I feel like he's gonna be OP.
Yeah, Locust seems really. Yeah, Colton even says Locust seems badass. Can't wait to learn more about him. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite character designs so far. The quote that I really enjoyed from this little section was, "The wind whispered that the world has begun to change." You can kind of feel that with all these big, powerful people converging. And I think it was Troll Nathan in chat said that this is where Miura knew that Berserk was becoming a much bigger story than he had planned, and I think that's pretty evident from here and all the backstories that we we'll end up getting.
Yeah. Well, I also feel too, because I wrote this down for Roxas, or however you say his name is. Someday I'll lop off your head and make it my own. Until then, I'll let no harm come to you.
Yeah.
What? I mean, I guess we can hang out, but like,
yeah, and also like a different type of character, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are big, brawny, big armor. This was not the case here.
Yeah.
Gabriel has a correction for us. He said, "Don't know if I'm missing a joke, but Wild is definitely done and gone. Are you thinking of Zodd in his semi-human form?" I think that we are thinking of Zodd. And this is why we do this live, so we could be correct now instead of
All right.
100
Well,
other times.
I said that one other time, I think too. I thought that it was
Yeah,
Wild. And it was
Wild. No, Wild did get killed. He ran away at the.
Oh yeah, because he stabbed him. Yeah, he stabbed him in his
That's
member.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Whoops.
Yeah. Gabriel, thank you for the correction.
Yeah,
we just really wanted to say Wild.
We still might say it more.
Yeah. Maybe.
No.
All right. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
So we end up seeing the Tapasa go after Griffith, right? Which are part of the Bakiraka. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And they're knocked down by something or someone called Raxus, which is the person that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Basically telling Griffith, one day I will kill you, but for now I'm yours.
Yeah.
I'm your guy. And he or she or whatever gender it was is the exile of the Bakirakas. And it seems like they're very surprised to see him there.
For sure.
Now,
I feel like it's gonna be pretty sick. Yeah, sorry, I think I got off on my note, like on my notes there when I had a little reboot real quick. Sorry about that.
You're good. You're good. Oh, here we go. Someone actually gave us the name of the Naga. His name was Grunbeld.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Naga is all right.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome. Did I miss too? That girl at the beginning when Griffith is there.
Oh yeah.
Was that Charlotte? Was that? It kind of looked like Luca. It kind of looked like Charlotte. Maybe I'm reaching.
I don't think so, because I feel like that is too big of a moment. Yeah. If so, for the name not to be mentioned. But I thought so
too. But I mean, it looked like. I mean, maybe just drawn like that. I think I was just stretching with Luca. But
well, it's funny because whenever it first came up, I'm thinking it through my head of all the girls that could possibly look like that. But yeah, it's a new character entirely, is what they're saying.
All right. Okay. I thought so. All right.
Good to know, because she is the perspective that we kind of see Griffith come into. And we know Griffith as a monster. We've already kind of talked about, we think he's irredeemable, but she's looking at him as the savior. And in a lot of ways, he is, because the Kushan are going to sacrifice these women to their gods or do whatever they would like with them. So in some ways, Griffith is a hero.
Yeah.
In this scene, at least.
Little do they know. But wait, there's more. I mean, like...
Someone just said Radon from Elden Ring is a homage to Grunbeld the giant. If that's true, that's amazing. Also, that boss was terrible to fight.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Very cool.
Yeah. That's very awesome.
So we meet someone outside of the gates, though, that's looking down on the city. And I don't know for sure what's going on with this character. I believe the name is Shirake. It's Shierke.
Little witch girl.
She's up against a tree and she has an elf above her head. And she talks about being in the astral world and how she couldn't be this luminous object because she might get stuck in the astral world. It's like just a couple panels, has the elf, and they call Griffith the one who will call down upon the world an age of darkness. The chapter closes with the warriors kneeling to the Hawk of the Light and the girl looking on, thinking that it's the same as an extraordinary tale, which is the girl that you mentioned. But back to this person with the elf, I think it's Shurke is how you would say it, which is what Saucy Ethan is saying. But Shurke, was that the Oracle? That's not the Oracle, right? That was sending everyone?
I don't think. I mean, for me, I just thought the Oracle was like more a presence type thing.
No, there was actually an Oracle because I think we saw the Oracle actually telling people about this earlier, or we saw in Oracle.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. All right. I'm following you now. Yeah.
Yeah, so Shurke, I don't know what the role is, whether or not they're the Oracle that I remember or not. It doesn't actually matter. But it would be interesting to see what's going to happen here with someone who can apparently go to the astral world.
Yeah,
that's a first time of hearing that, I believe. So let's make sure we keep that in our notes.
I feel like she's gonna have a pretty big role somehow.
Yeah. And that kind of concludes like this new forming of the Band of the Hawk or Band of the Falcon or whatever they're going to end up calling it. But Shurke is a player that we need to keep an eye on, and obviously all the new players that are with Griffith. But now we go into what I think is one of the more, like maybe my favorite contained side or flashback story in Berserk so far, which is Farnese and Serpico's backstory.
Yes, because we've been waiting for
Serpico.
it. I've been waiting for it. I always forget his name.
I know, and that's why I pause because I'm trying. I know it's not Serpico.
Yeah,
like some dude handing out Pico de Gallo at Godot.
Little Piccolo.
Serpico.
Serpico.
I thought that this flashback was absolutely amazing. One of my favorite parts of Berserk so far.
So good.
Serpico getting beat up, being around his ghostly mother just makes me so sympathetic for him. And then you see Farnese come in and rescue him. But Farnese is almost as ghostly as his mother.
Yeah.
Serpico's mother. But it's interesting because Serpico's mother is in, she had been used by the nobleman and now he's a bastard child. And she is kind of withering away, just hoping he'll visit one day and withering away. And the same man that she's waiting on is the same one Farnese is waiting on, but she's in a big mansion.
Yeah.
All by herself. Seclusion has wrecked these two people, and it's all centered around one man, right? A father. A father and a lover in this regard. And it's so interesting that Serpico is interacting with both of these people.
Yeah, it's almost you see the outwardly and the inwardly scars, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, the mother has obviously more than just her body failing her. But for me, that was a huge parallel to that.
Yes, and I did have a prediction, and Trill Nathan has already given me my props that Serpico's past was more than likely his mom was. I said Farnese most likely had burned his mom or something at the stake because we remember the other recruit. I forget his name now, but he said that same night couldn't be. Remember, it was like really fast. It was a quick line. And I said, "Ooh, something happened with Serpico and in his past," and this was correct. The thing that we did not know is that Farnese made him throw the torch.
Man. Yeah, I did not see that coming.
Rough.
Yes.
Rough, man.
I mean, no wonder he does not like fire.
No. The other recruit's name was Jerome, by the way. Jerome and
Jerome.
We're having a conversation. And
I was sitting there racking my brain trying to remember his name, but
I always get it mixed up with Corcus. That's the one I always end up thinking of.
I always want to say Jericho. I don't know why.
So just a really interesting comparison between the two and how this all plays out. And we find out that Farnese burns things where she saw people burn as a child. She's killing small animals. We know that that's not a great sign.
Yeah, that's usually a red flag.
How tragic was it, though? Whenever she burns the rabbit toy her father had given her.
Oh man, I literally teared up because she didn't have it at all. Well, actually, I think so. When going back to when she first saves Serpico, she had it. I think it was on her jacket then. Because at first I almost thought like, oh, that's a silly looking coat. Like they made a real rabbit look like that, but it was her toy, so she had just gotten it, or at least it was in a lot better shape than it was towards when she burnt it.
And you know, it's an
That just
interesting
tore at me,
parallel
man.
that I just thought about.
What's that?
That rabbit toy is the gift that he had given her to go and that she's held on to.
Mm-hmm.
Serpico's mother's gift was him.
Damn.
He's kind of the bunny.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, right?
That is wild.
Yeah, man. I just think there's a lot of powerful things, a lot of really interesting parallels drawn here.
It's just so small little details like that too. That I mean, I'm sure we miss a million, and we see a couple.
Yes.
Even to when they were, I think it was going through some of the backstory of it. I read the panel that Farnese just threw him out of a window.
Yeah.
In that one. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
like they were like going back and forth, and she's like, I'll throw you out the window.
Well, yeah, we kind of said, she rescued him, but she wasn't like super nice.
No, I mean, she's like, you're mine now. You could do what I say. And you hear all the chatter from all the other servants, like, hey, she's kind of crazy.
But he always stays with her.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, the alternative, he doesn't have any way to pay for his mom, and he has to get beat up in town. So I guess it's better getting beat up in a mansion by a girl than it is being beat up in the streets.
Well, and he wanted reprieve from his mother too, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because that's a lot, man. For him to
anyone that's ever taken care of a sickly relative knows that's a tough task.
Yeah. I think he did a great job of representing that, though.
And the resentment.
Because of how, you have the resentment, but you also have the love and you have the affection. Mm-hmm. I mean, he does such a good job of really highlighting the human condition in that regard. And I mean, plenty of other things we've talked about.
Well, yeah, it's an ugly thing, but you see someone that has maybe taken care of someone who was in a terminally ill condition, and there does begin a resentment because your life is now, on hold. But you love them, so you have to do it. You want to do it. Mm-hmm. There's also the other side of you, and I'm not saying everyone feels like this. I've never been in this circumstance, so I can't say how I would feel.
Yeah, neither have I.
But you'll see, people who whenever it's all said and done, they say, it was better this way. Mm-hmm. And is that not kind of what he's thinking when he throws the torch? Like, you being here in this moment, I finally got out from this. Is this your revenge for me leaving you alone? Like, he's thinking about his mom. Like, did she plan this to be on this stage? I mean, that's a pretty powerful and I think a very vulnerable moment.
Yeah. I mean, how could it not be? I mean, facing that, you can't even make another situation that is just, I don't.
Yeah. And Colton says it's amazing how such a good story can be told in such a short amount of time. It's like 1/3 of a single volume, and the visual storytelling of the art is so efficient and powerful. Yeah, this is kind of the reunion of Guts and Griffith, the new forming of the Band of the Hawk, and all these people coming together, right? And then you have this, which really irons out Farnese and Serpico's past, and all three are so good.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, because I have been reading them as single volumes. I've been doing the deluxes, but from here on out, I'll be very curious to see if anything can top this single volume for me, because it's so powerful, especially this last part with Farnese.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so glad that we made that decision. We said it multiple times, but
yeah,
such a good. And I don't think too, even when we were reading them before, it was a whole, it was all together. It was all one book. I didn't really, in my head, leave it as different volumes. Yeah. So I almost like how you're thinking about it differently as well.
I agree. I totally agree.
Because you almost appreciate it more. I mean, we said that too. We're taking our time with it. It's getting sad. We're in 8 already.
Yeah.
Slow her down. I mean, I've been buying some other stuff, but I'm getting ready.
I know you are.
I haven't cracked it yet.
I really liked in all the thick snow piled around, maybe their warmth was all they needed. That's paraphrasing, but they're talking about the snow that was keeping the mansion piled on, and the footsteps or the footprints to the snow, and they were bent together. Speaking of Serpico and Farnese, it's also interesting that Farnese fell for Serpico, and when he would duel in her honor, he would hold back.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
He was talking about like not seeking retribution and stuff.
Well, that just shows too that his character, like he doesn't actually want to. Well, here's how did he figure out how to sword fight so well? Just from fighting people in town? I think that's what I thought. Okay.
I think so. I think so. And also, being able to live at the mansion, I think that he also had access to more noble things, right? Like lessons and such.
Yes.
Of the martial kind.
Mm-hmm.
So she ends up burning that mansion though, and burning their garden where they grew together. And and then that's where we find out that Serpico was basically forced to burn his mother, but I don't know if he was forced. Like he didn't want to, but those thoughts, about his.
Yeah, I mean that's the essential of like, hey, I mean that's back then that was pulling the plug, I guess. I mean, you got that or you got a pillow, man. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, for real though. I mean,
yeah.
So I guess we'll have to wait and see where Serpico ends up with Farnese. But I love the panel of him and her holding the torch, or they're like both holding the torch, and it has like a shadow of them, and then his mom on the stake in a shadow, and it says, "What did we burn to ashes? What were we delivered from? What were we enchained by?" It's such a powerful one. And then the next panel kind of shows them in the present day following Guts's footsteps through the snow. It says, "Winter since then, that mansion, that holy city, is probably buried in snow again. We left that labyrinth we've never thought we would escape, and now we're beneath the sky of a distant journey." And then they basically say that they will follow the Black Swordsman. She will, as if trying to melt the snow with some flame. Upon the snow, the footprints alone continue on. And that's the end of the volume. Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And Waifu's correct. The alternative is that Serpico would die, because people are saying, you can't be one of the holy knights and be a heretic son.
You're a heretic. Well, even rewinding it back too, I put this as like one of the final notes too, to talk about when they were going through that whole montage of him, going back and forth in the mansion, talking to all the other servants and everything. One of them says to him, "The flames scorched her heart as she found the place she belonged to." Like that's, for me, that was like.
Yeah, and it's really a highlight of a lot of Berserk's childhood trauma, but it shows how much that plays out in who you are. And I think it was somebody in the chat was talking about how Farnese was idolized and applauded for burning people and being there at those things.
Yeah, like as a little kid, it's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Now, trying to switch gears here to be a little bit happier, there was one part that I actually laughed audibly while reading, and it was when they were talking about Zodd, and I feel like it was just like a low-key dig at him. It's like, you should find you should find him to answer any questions regarding knights, or the knight's frame of mind. Talking about Zodd, like just because like he's so over the top. They're like, yeah, if you need the knight's frame of mind, go ask that dude.
Yeah, he's so straight and narrow, and he like really believes in the like the structure of being a knight.
Yeah,
where it seems like everybody else is just out for themselves. Like he truly believes like his, he's a man of morals.
Yeah, he's the only one. But I don't know. That for me just struck me funny.
Zodd's great, dude.
I love him.
Yeah, Zodd's fantastic. I hope we see more of him.
Yeah, I think we might. Hopefully.
So yeah, that wraps up volume 22, dude. I think we both loved it, right? That's safe to say.
For sure.
What's your favorite moment?
Oh man, I really liked the Guts embrace with Casca, because we saw my least favorite part with Griffin having his cloak around her, and then you get Guts, and it just, we've seen that before where he walks off with her into the sunset, but you always had some reservations. Like, is he going to stay? And this time I feel like he's in it for the long haul. He's going to try to protect her. This is a lot more meaningful for me. Yeah. And that for me was such a powerful part. What about you?
For me, it's Serpico throwing the torch. I think the panels, everything about it was so beautiful and tragic. The thoughts in the background of like, mother, did you do this just to get back at me? And then what he's saying, what people around him are saying in the moment where they're both holding the torch and she says, do it, it was one of those moments where like, I literally, usually I can see things coming. I know I predicted it, but like seeing it in the moment, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because Serpico has been such a cool, yet kind of mysterious character so far.
Yeah.
And I agree with what Colton said. I think Farnese and Serpico could become like top tier characters. Like the fact that we were in a volume with Griffith and Guts reuniting, and I'm picking this moment, is a pretty big indicator that Miura is a phenomenal developer of characters. I think so.
I mean, he does bring them all. The ones that he keeps reoccurring are, I mean, they're all built up to the same level almost. Yeah. You like them in different ways. You hate them in different ways. It's just
there's a lot of range.
Balance. Yeah, the balance and the range. True. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that a lot of the pain points for the characters, I don't feel are repetitive. Like he's not going to the well too many times on certain traumas and stuff. But yeah, I thought that this was an absolute stacked volume and such a good one for us to break off onto single volumes for.
Definitely.
I can't believe that we thought Zodd in his animal form was wild the whole time. That was embarrassing.
I mean, it's kind of funny that we booked it though too.
Yeah, well, we're consistent, if anything, guys.
Yeah.
All right, man. Is there anything else from the volume one to discuss, or?
I didn't have any other really callbacks. I mean, I did put I forgot what her name was. The little witch girl. I want to see what's going to go on with her.
Shirkei, or however you say it, Shirkei.
I think there's going to be a lot to do with her and the fairies.
Yeah, the elves. Yeah, I think
elves. Yes, the fairies. My bad.
So things we have to look forward to. Shirkei for sure. Yep. What's going on with this vessel thing with Griffith and the fluttering of the heart? And also, I'm excited to see what Puck's home looks like with Casca and Guts going on. So we have a lot to get excited about and a lot more to read, and I love it.
And we have the Suicide Squad to be excited / scared about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, God. There's so much. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, so we're going to be breaking it down and reacting to everything in single volumes. If y'all could hit the like button on this, I'd much appreciate. If you aren't subscribed and you like this video, I would definitely implore you to hit subscribe, because we're going to be making all of the content for Berserk and watching the animes eventually, and hopefully doing some in-person stuff where we're both in the same room. So it's going to be a lot of fun on Dudes Talking Manga. We're going to be reading other things as well. When you like the video, it actually helps it YouTube to push it out, because live streams are generally like live and then they kind of fall down in the algorithm or whatever. But this will help more people find it and hopefully enjoy it. Tell a friend if you're in the Berserk community and people are looking for some content that's relaxed, first time readers. We're going to be here for a long time.
We ain't going nowhere.
That's right. So we appreciate you, chat, everyone showing up and everyone watching afterwards. Drop a comment down below if your question to get answered. We messed up something, let us know. Andrew, appreciate you coming on as always.
Man. Thanks for having me. It's a blast.
Absolutely. And until we see you next time, we'll be back in probably about 2 weeks. That's the plan, as long as scheduling all works out. And we'll be back with volume 23, and we will see you all then. But until then, make sure you're good. Be safe. Remember to always
keep turning the page
and struggle on, strugglers.